Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Mueller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Ironwoman. We only have a special guest, and today we go to Paige Arnof-Fenn in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where the Harvard University is. So, an honor, and for me as a Boston marathoner, Boston is always very dear to my heart. And Paige is the CEO of Mavens Moguls. And when I looked at this as a layperson, I thought it's a bird and the Moguls are the Indian wise people. But maybe she gives us some insights. But let's just start. Where did you start as a child? I'm excited to have you. And we also need to say we both are on the platform, The Real 50 Over 50. We want to give thanks to Donna, who interviewed us, and she does a wonderful job with 137 interviews. Paige and I, we met on Monday. Today is Wednesday when we record. So this is actually a great way to connect and to enlarge our network. So excited to be here with you, Paige, and welcome.
Thank you, Susanne. I'm so excited to talk to you today. As a child, I was a bit of a tomboy. I was kind of a bigger kid, kind of strong and a little chunky. I was always a really good athlete. I loved sports. I played soccer, ran cross country, ran track. I never ran a marathon. You are the true Ironman, Ironwoman. But I loved running. I loved all sports, tennis, basketball, water skiing, canoeing. I went to a sports camp every summer as a child for 7 summers. Played sports for 2 months every year. I just loved it. When I graduated from college in the 1980s, the most popular movie that had won a big Oscar was Wall Street, and Michael Douglas was the star. It came out right when I was finishing up college, and I thought, oh my goodness, that looks like a lot of fun. I think I have to go do that. My father and both my grandfathers had worked at commercial banks, but Wall Street is investment banking, and it just seemed even better. So I made a commitment for 2 years to be a financial analyst. I realized, I think at the end of my first week, that it was not what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. It was an insane time for Wall Street jobs. I worked in a very intense area of the bank. The stock market crashed. I had started the job over the summer. In October of 87, the market crashed. It was an absolute crazy time. Now, today in 2025, the market goes up and down 500 points yesterday, 500 points today. Nobody even blinks anymore. But back then, it was a big deal.
And it was not like in the movie when you were there.
Exactly. The movie made it seem so glamorous. But basically, I'd made a 2-year commitment, so I stayed for 2 years. I did well. I made a lot of money. Wall Street pays really well. But I realized I didn't like the work very much. It wasn't really making me happy. I didn't find it as interesting. It was very monotonous. It was very intense. And it left me no time at all to do anything other than work. It was very normal to work 80 or more hours a week. And I just didn't want to have a career like that. So I went back to business school. I rebranded myself. I took a marketing class my first year in business school, and I absolutely loved it. And a friend of mine had told me when we were working at the bank together that all the things that I liked the most in my job in banking were not finance things. They were marketing things. I'd never taken a marketing class before, but I loved at the end of every deal We had to run ads in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. We got to plan closing dinners to celebrate the transaction. And because I was the most junior person on the team, I got to plan promotional toys to present everybody at the dinner. And my friend said, Paige, everything you like, it's advertising, it's event planning, it's promotions. Those are marketing things. You should do marketing. Don't do finance.
The fun stuff.
Exactly. And it was good to have an analytical brain, but it was a creative outlet. And I loved the balance of my right brain and my left brain. I got to use both for the job. After my marketing class, I got a summer internship in marketing at Procter Gamble, which is the biggest consumer products company in the world. I learned so much about how to be a great marketer because P&G invented the concept of brand management. So you run your brand like a business. And it was so much fun. And I went back. They made me an offer after the summer ended. I went back after business school and stayed for 3 years. It was such a good grounding and such a great foundation. Then I went to go work for the Olympics, which I loved because that was sports. It was really, except for starting my own company, it was a dream come true, my best job. So we were living in Washington, D.C. I was working for Procter & Gamble in one of their divisions about an hour outside of Washington. In 1994, there was an ad for a job to run a joint venture for the Olympics that were going to be in 1996 in Atlanta, Georgia. So the U.S. was going to host the Centennial Olympic Games. It was the 100th anniversary to help raise money for the Olympic athletes because we were the host country. We were going to mint commemorative coins. They would celebrate different sports. A portion of the proceeds of each coin would go to the Olympics and to the athletes. Because we were the host country, the coins were being sold all over the world. If we sold coins in other countries, they got to keep a portion of the proceeds. It was a public-private partnership. The U.S. Mint in the Treasury Department minted the coins, and I set up deals with Olympic sponsors to help me market and sell the coins around the world. The big sponsors were like Coca-Cola, Visa, Charge Card, General Mills for cereal, Xerox, IBM for equipment, sponsored the Olympics. So I was able, again, to be very creative and figure out how they could use the coins to help me market them. We ended up selling over $100 million worth of coins all over the world, which was really incredible. It was such a great experience. But when the Olympics ended, Coca-Cola came back to me and said, "We've loved working with you all this time. Can you come work at Coca-Cola?" So I did. I took a marketing job at Coke. And Coke, again, it's one of the most recognized, beloved brands. It had been around for more than 100 years. And I was the assistant chief marketing officer at Coke, which was really working for P&G, the Olympics, and Coke. Very well recognized, great brands.
When I'm listening to you, so you go to Harvard, you go P&G. Well, first you start Wall Street, right? So New York, Wall Street, then you go to Harvard, then you go P&G, the Olympics, Coca-Cola, and I saw Delta Airlines, Zipcar. Fast forward, who is your dream client that you would like to have?
When I started the company, one of my dream clients was Richard Branson and Virgin, and we ended up getting to do 2 projects for Virgin early when I started the company, and that was amazing. When it's your company, when you start the business, I feel like I only work for people that I really want to work with. So I'm very, very fortunate. Now I work with early stage companies, venture-backed, pre-revenue, brands that are barely in existence, and we help them find a logo, a tagline, a name. We'll build their first website. We'll do their stationery, their business cards. We do that. We work with a lot of companies in the middle, kind of mid-market, emerging market. And we have Fortune 500 companies too, but we work with a lot of nonprofits. I feel very fortunate that I'm able to work with companies at every size all over the world. It's not maybe names that if I told you are going to be as impressive, but I feel like we're very critical to big decisions they have to make about how they want to present themselves and how to help them grow and get their mission and vision out there and help them find the right words and pictures to tell their story. We've done work for Virgin, for Colgate, for the New York Times, really big companies. But the majority of my clients I would describe as mid-market, emerging market, kind of 2 million to 200 million in revenue. They really need great marketing support, but they're never going to be able to get the attention that like P&G and Coke would have. They can't hire a big agency. They're not going to spend money every day around the world doing marketing. They can't afford to sponsor the Olympics. They have to be very strategic. They're working with limited budgets. So you really have to be creative and scrappy and resourceful. That's what kind of makes it fun. I love it. I love it. Like I said, if I don't like the client, we don't work together. I love being a small business person.
Sometimes you say I and sometimes you say we. Do you have a team or
I
who
do
is-
have a team.
How
I've
big is
got
the team?
4 dozen independent contractors who all work under the Mavens and Moguls umbrella. We come together and form teams based on what clients need. And we can do anything a marketing department, ad agency, or PR agency does on an outsourced basis. So when I say it's the company. I self-funded the business. I don't have investors. So the buck stops with me, which is great. I worked for venture-backed startups and I know what it's like when you have other people's money. You can't take on the work necessarily that you want because they have expectations too. It was very important to me to be able to run a small, successful business.
Sounds like a great success story. What do you do when you don't work? Because it seems as an entrepreneur, you're building your business, you're building your empire, I call it, with a team. How do you find a balance?
I wasn't always balanced, to be brutally honest. The first 5 years of the business, I don't even think I took a proper vacation. I was working in the weeds, doing everything to help it grow. And I think in the first 5 years, I was kind of nervous that if I took vacation, the whole company would unravel. Like it would just, if I came back, it wouldn't even exist anymore. But 5 years into the company, my husband and I went through this period where 7 of our kind of closest family members started to get sick and die, unfortunately. Both of his parents, both of my parents, my stepfather, one of his siblings, my great aunt, like all these people that we just loved were all in poor health and declining. And he and I are the only ones in our generation that don't have kids and that we were the only ones that were self-employed. So we took on a lot of the care and we're both business people. When they died, we took on a lot of the estate administration to settle up their estates. So I had to juggle a lot of things. I couldn't just be working in the business 24/7 anymore. I got very good at being more comfortable stepping away, delegating, running the business, like working on the business, not in the business. Then after all those people died, it was really sad. It was 7 people in 6 years. When they died, I didn't want to go back to just being buried in the work all over again. I really made a conscious effort that like, instead of getting on a plane to go help my parents or my in-laws, I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to do hobbies. I'm going to do things outside of my day job to lead a more balanced, fulfilling life. And I did. I started doing Tai Chi. I started knitting. I started spending time in smaller groups instead of going to big networking events with over 100 people. I might do a small dinner or go meet a few people for cocktails and conversation. That was much more personally fulfilling because I was building more like one-on-one relationships. and my business didn't suffer. When I had a more balance in my life, I feel like I was better at my day job too. It was a really important lesson to learn, and it was a way for me to be part of my family that really needed me. I didn't want to not be there for them. So it was really important for me to be able to do both jobs really well.
I'm sure you did both jobs excellently. And was interesting to listen to you when you were looking for the word. Delegation came not so easy. So I'm wondering, how is that happening for you as a CEO? How do you delegate?
It's an ongoing work in progress. A lot of entrepreneurs, I think we're all a little bit neurotic and a little bit intense. You do want to be in control, but you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I trust my team. I have people I've worked with for a long time now. Many of the people who are part of my group I worked with and knew before I started my company 23 years ago. We might have been colleagues in other places. It's a question of now we've been working together for so long, they can almost read my mind. I don't need to check on everything. It's about managing expectations and knowing when you need to step in and when you can step away and feel like things continue to move forward. I wouldn't say I'm the world's best, but I've gotten pretty good at it after all these years.
Good. Wonderful. I like to hear that, because that would be something we have to work on. And when I
Always.
first met you, you said you have been traveling with your husband. When is your next trip coming up?
Unfortunately, I'm not traveling right now. We've taken some amazing trips in our life. I was an exchange student in France in high school and Italy in college. I love any opportunity to go back to France or Italy. We have a second home on the West Coast in California, and that home is being renovated right now. So when the renovation is done, I hope to get out there later this year.
So we wish you to travel more, to delegate more, and to be happy and healthy, but to keep going with Mavens and Moguls. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into your life, and hope one day we can meet in person. That would be fun.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed getting to talk today.
Delegation, delegation, delegation. What are you taking away from this conversation? Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday with interesting people, cool people, inspiring people. Come and join us for more episodes. And Take It from the Iron Woman is also the book Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Download it or get it in your local bookstore. And also like us, write a review on the platform where you are listening to this podcast. Thank you for your support. We'll have more for you in store. Until next time, bye-bye.
Free audio post-production.